Wait, can you say that again? Are you rolling?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of people didn't think it was going to happen because, after all, it's a massive project to not only buy a bus, but to be able to drive a bus, but then to also be able to turn into a coffin, and then to organize events. I mean, there's so many outstanding things that one must worry about. And then on top of that, you need to have insurance. You need to make sure you have the right tires. You need to have a bunch of different kind of components. There's oil changes. I had to deal with the brakes. I had to deal with the transmission. Where we had a small power steering leak that we had to deal with. I mean, I spent the very first 2 weeks of the bus actually working entirely on the engine and on the actual, like, is the bus functionally going to make it from point A to point B? And now I'm literally rushing to put up this coffin. So, but I'm confident. I'm confident. We got 6 days left that we are going to make it. And I think by Tuesday, the goal is to paint it by Wednesday, which means we would then have about 72 hours before departure. And I think we can do that.
Can you draw a parallel between this project and jumping into a boat with 500 books and sailing the world?
Well, I think the big thing about this project is that we have a departure date. And we have journalists flying from across the country and frankly, from around the world to leave on a certain date. And that costs money. They have time, they have hotels, they have all sorts of things. So the pressure's on me to make sure we leave on a certain date. Whereas with my sailboat, it was like I had all the time in the world. I was sailing around the world. I mean, I could take an extra 2 weeks in the boatyard if I wanted to, getting the boat ready. But here I am. Literally, I'm on a timeline, and there's only so many working hours in the day that you can do, and plus you can't, because of neighbors, you can't work beyond 7 in the evening, and you can't work too early. So it's like I'm just on a time clock, and it's like tick, 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 tick. It's a bit nerve-wracking.
But what about your personality, do you think, makes you suitable to do these things that nobody else would ever do? I mean, what about your personality that you just jump into a boat and start sailing, or you just take on this huge project everybody else doesn't believe in, or whatever,
Well, I'm not sure exactly where this type of personality comes from, where I would get in a boat and just sail away, or I would buy a bus and turn it into a coffin and tour the country. But I've often thought my parents came from Hungary. They escaped essentially illegally while the Russians were occupying Hungary, and so there's a kind of a freedom fighter sense of who my parents are, what my heritage is, and I think it's carried on into me because my sister has it as well. So we're always doing crazy, zany things that are kind of against the grain of whatever is normal. And I think the coffin bus is sort of that. It's wacky, but at the same time, it's a great vehicle for promoting transhumanism because it's so provocative that people have to pay attention and ask themselves, well, what is this guy trying to do? Oh, he's trying to promote science and technology and use it against death to essentially achieve an indefinite lifespan. Okay, let's get on to the bigger things now. I had something and I seem to have lost it.